Good evening. This is a meeting of the Sturbridge Planning Board, Tuesday, January 26, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. This is a virtual meeting. We will have a call to order and approval of the minutes of January 12th, an A&R of 116 Wallace Road, Laurie Boniface, and at 6:35, a public hearing for Fisk Hill East Realty Trust request definitive subdivision approval for property located on 30 Main Street and 20 Fisk Hill Road. We'll have the town planner's update, next meeting and dates, old and new business, and adjournment. To begin, I need to read the statement from the governor. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, general law, C-30A, Section 18, and the governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Sturbridge Planning Board will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation can be found on the town's website at https://www.sturbridge.gov/town-administrator/access virtual meeting. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen and or watch the meeting either online via the town's on-demand video broadcast on cable television on channel 191 or dial into the meeting at 774-304-1455, enter 1428 pound for the meeting number and 1234 for the access code. This phone number is only active for the public during public meetings. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post audio and or video recordings, transcripts, or other comprehensive record of the proceedings on the town's website as soon as possible after the meeting. Okay, has everyone had a chance to read the meeting minutes of January 12th, 2021? Any changes? None being heard. Russ, do you accept the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes
Okay.
of January 12th.
Second. Okay, thank you. Okay. Russ?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Russ? Jeff?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Sue? Yes.
Dane is here too.
I have joined, but I'm abstaining from the vote as I didn't attend last week.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, the meeting minutes of January 12th are accepted. Now we move forward to the A&R for Laurie Boniface, 116 Wallace Road.
Okay. Janae is going to put the plan up on the screen for those that may be watching at home. So this is a plan of land for Laurie Boniface. It's at 116 Wallace Road. It's a rather large piece of land with about 11.3 acres. And this plan shows carving off of 1.91 acres with the home on Wallace Road. The remaining land has 11 acres and approximately 160 feet of frontage on Shepherd Road. So since the plan meets the requirements, I would recommend you endorse the plan submitted.
Okay. We have a motion to accept the plan as submitted?
I'll move, Jeff. Second, Chris.
Okay. Let's see. Russ,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Sue says yes. Oh, I didn't ask about Dane.
I also say yes. Thank you.
Okay, yes. Okay, unanimously accepted. So we can move on to the public hearing for Fisk Hill East Definitive Subdivision Plan. The applicant is proposing to construct a 5-lot mixed-use residential and commercial subdivision with associated roadway, drainage structures, and other improvements at 30 Main Street and 20 Fisk Hill Road. Dean?
Yes. So, would you like me to read the public hearing notice for you?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. In accordance with the provisions of Mass General Laws, Chapter 41, Section 81F, in the Town of Sturbridge Regulations governing the subdivision of land, Article 3, Section 8, the Sturbridge Planning Board will hold a public hearing on the application of Fisk Hill East Realty Trust for definitive subdivision approval for a proposed 5-lot mixed-use subdivision. The plan is entitled Definitive Subdivision Plan, Fisk Hill East, 30 Main Street and 20 Fisk Hill Road, Sturbridge, Massachusetts, and was prepared by McClure Engineering, Incorporated. The property is located at 30 Main Street and 20 Fisk Hill Road and contains 134 acres plus or minus. This hearing will be held virtually on Tuesday, January 26, 2021 at 6:35 p.m. Again, in the public hearing notice, we recited the governor's notice, which was just read. And then it says a copy of the plan and application can be inspected on the Sturbridge Town website at www.sturbridge.gov/planning-board/pages/recent-filings, or arrangements can be made to view the application packet by contacting the Sturbridge Planning Department at 508-347-2508 or by email at jlacy@sturbridge.gov. Any person interested or wishing to be heard on this petition should appear at the time and place designated. Charles Blanchard, Chairman. Okay. Would you like me to give you an overview?
Yes, please.
Okay. So, as stated in the public hearing notice, we had a proposed 5-lot subdivision. When the application was submitted, it was sent out to all departments for review and comment. We have, in my report, you have a listing of all the documents that were submitted, and you also have a listing of the comments. The comments received for the record were from Earl Desert, Chief of Police, on December 15th, 2020. He noted that he had no concerns. John Marinelli, Fire Inspector, on December 20th, requested a full set of plans which has been provided to him, and he had no additional comments. Mark Augello, DPW Operations Manager, on January 4th, 2021, wanted information on who would maintain the basin. The intent is the infrastructure and the street would be accepted as a town way. And the subdivision regulations require basins be located on their own parcel, and that's why we had a modification to the plan since it was submitted. Rebecca Gendro, Conservation Agent, provided comment on January 8th, 2021, advising of wetland requirements and noting the applicant has filed a notice of intent with the Commission, and that is currently under review right now. Nelson Burlingame, Building Commissioner, on January 14th, noted he had no concerns. Ken Lacey, Health Agent, on January 21st, 2021, noted that he had no concerns with the subdivision as the plan is to connect to town water and sewer. Additionally, quotes were submitted and Park Corporation was retained to conduct a peer review of this project. This was for compliance with the subdivision regulations, including stormwater management and also a review of the traffic impact assessment. Additionally, site visits were conducted and a variety of waivers were reviewed with the applicant and the peer reviewer, as well as additional commentary for the Chief of Police. For this evening's meeting, I would suggest that the applicant present their proposal to the board and overview the subdivision, utility connections, stormwater management system, and traffic impact assessment. Mr. John Shevlin from Park Corporation is here to answer any questions that the board may have. I would also like the board to ask any questions that they may have, as well as any abutters that may be either on the meeting or on the conference line phone. And then after that discussion, I would like the board to review, discuss, and vote on the waivers that have been requested, and I'll provide you recommendations on each one. At the conclusion of that, I would recommend that the board continue this hearing until February 23rd to allow the applicant to work on further revisions, get a little further in the process with the Conservation Commission. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Peter Engel from McClure Engineering, who is the project engineer.
Thank you, Jean. Again, my name is Peter Engel with McClure Engineering. Jean gave us a nice little overview. So currently what you're looking at now is the existing property at the corner of 5th Road and Main Street.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Is there any way we could somehow get rid of that echo?
I'm not hearing any echo on our end, Jeff.
I'm hearing it.
You are?
I'm not hearing an echo here.
How about now?
How about if everybody that is not speaking mutes themselves until you're ready to speak? Maybe that would help.
Alrighty. So, once again, what you're looking at now is the existing property at the corner of Fisk Hill Road and Main Street. The property is currently in 2 tracts of land. One is 30 Main Street, the other is 20 Fisk Hill Road. There's an existing property line that separates the 2 parcels. The idea would be to basically have these parcels combined and split up into 5 new lots with the roadway per the plans. So these are the existing conditions. We do have some wetlands, but here is the proposed roadway, the lot configuration, and parcel A would be the stormwater basin parcel. So we have three lots in the commercial district, 2 lots in the residential district. The purpose of creating this road is to create basically lot 3 as a legal building lot within this residential zone. And by doing so, we also create lot 4, which would also be in that residential zone. So this is the proposed layout, which we can look at this one. It's probably a little easier to tell what's going on. Before we come in off of Main Street, we are asking for a waiver for the road length, since the purpose of this road is to create legal frontage in the residential zone. Our cul-de-sac is placed so that there is exactly 300 feet of frontage in that zone, which equates to 2 legal lots, with the rest of the road being in the commercial zone. We have parcel A for our stormwater basin, lot 1 located to the east of the road, which is these 2 lots may change moving forward. Lot 1 currently is not an extremely buildable lot, and we're looking at revising the stormwater basin in order to minimize impacts to the wetland buffer zones in this area. Lot 2 would be a commercial zone, and lot 5 would be a commercial zone, both with ample area upland frontage to be viable buildable lots. The subdivision would have, other than the entrance, which is going to be 1 lane in and 2 lanes out. Per our traffic impact analysis, the road would be 24 feet wide with a 50-foot right-of-way. The road would have sidewalks on both sides, 6 foot wide, other than right in front of the stormwater basin, to try to minimize as much impervious area as we can. Per the subdivision regulations, roadways in the commercial zone are supposed to be, I believe, 32 feet wide. So we're asking for a waiver for that. Again, trying to minimize as much impervious area as we can. The traffic impact analysis tells us that the 24-foot width for this roadway would be ample for the proposed or the potential uses on the road. We have a drainage network, catch basins, manholes, and pipes, which will bring all stormwater from the roadway down to a single infiltration basin at the corner of the proposed roadway in Main Street. That basin will recharge the required amount of stormwater into the ground per the Massachusetts stormwater regulations. Any overflow would be discharged towards the wetland to the east. We are meeting all the Massachusetts regulations for stormwater, and a stormwater report has been included in the middle. But again, this basin may somewhat change. We feel, although it's a minor change, it'll likely just get longer to stay out of that buffer zone and encroach into Lot 1 a little bit. Again, the purpose of the road is to create Lot 3 for down the road a potential senior housing community, which, from what we understand, the town could use. We are providing landscaping around the subdivision roadway, other than in a couple spots where we are trying to minimize tree clearing, keeping as much of that mature native vegetation as we can. There's not much grading required in this area compared to where the proposed landscaping street trees would go. Lighting is proposed around the roadway. Outside of the right-of-way, those lights would be paid for by the property owners of those respective lots. We are proposing a couple of crosswalks for the development to help pedestrian movement in the area. We are proposing a left and a right turn only lane out of the development. This will increase the level of service of the traffic impact analysis level of service A through E. So by increasing from 1 lane to 2 lanes out of the development, that level of service is increased to help mitigate any potential traffic from this development. I believe that's an overview of the project. We can take some questions.
Okay, thank you. Ross, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I've got a couple of things. Gene, can you clarify why this is being set up as 5 lots? I mean, when we had the preliminary, when they came to us before, what was it, like 60 motorhomes or trailer park or whatever?
Oh.
Why is it being set up like this at this time? Can you clarify that?
Of course. So you'll recall that this roadway obviously doesn't exist now, and the 55 and over is only allowed in the residential portion. So, Pete, can you highlight the lot where the 55 and over would be located? So where Pete has his cursor there, that's actually the lots that the Stelmachs will be purchasing, and that's where the 55 and over would be placed. So as noted in the traffic study, there are other potential uses that they're hoping to attract. on these other commercial lots. And one would be an urgent care facility, potentially, a small convenience mart for the people that are living in the 55 and over. And then there's another large lot on the other side of the cul-de-sac. Pete, could you point that one out? Right there where Pete's cursor is. And that is, ideally would be an assisted living facility. They don't have a potential developer for that site at this time, but quite a few years back, we did have the proposal by the EB group to build an assisted living there. So the Stelmachs will come back in for their permitting once this roadway is approved and put in. And that will provide them the legal frontage to go forward with 55 and over. And then the 55 and over would come in for permitting. And then you'll recall there's an emergency access proposed out through the town of Southbridge as well. And the applicant has met with the town of Southbridge on that access already. Did that clarify, Russ?
Yes, very much so. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The next question I have is, there's been research into the abandonment of Old Fisk Hill Road. Is that clear for them to use that property? Has that been researched?
So there is access out onto Fisk Hill Road. That would be off of, Pete, could you point out that lot? That would be on the Fisk Hill side again.
Sure, that would be a lot.
I'm talking about the old road down by Route 131.
I'm not sure what you're talking about, Russell.
Oh, Old Fisk Hill Road.
Oh, Old Fisk Hill. Yeah,
Old Fisk Hill Road.
Yep. So Old Fisk Hill actually kind of comes off where the cul-de-sac is proposed, and that will not interfere with the roadway or that lot. You can see it drawn in down there on the bottom.
Right, but on one of these sheets, it shows, let me see if I can find it.
Hey, Gene, it's Matt Sosik. I would just add that that is part of the deeded rights. That's on, that old abandoned road was on the subject property. So it's part of the deeded.
That's
Okay,
my
thank
question.
you.
Has it been proven that that's abandoned, that they can use that? That's my question.
You know, I'm less sure about the town abandonment part of it, but it's part of, you know, presently in fee simple, the realty trust that owns us owns that part, that land.
Okay.
So it's, again, less sure of it. I'll give you another example, like over at the TJ's building, the Porterhouse, you know, that access road that goes down there, that's an old road that was, when doing the research, it was never abandoned. You know, those are sort of loose ends that rarely get tied up. But it's, you know, in fee simple, we own it, so we feel pretty confident in using that land right there.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have for now until we get to the waivers. Thank you.
Hey, Chris, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions. No, that was a great presentation. Thank you.
Okay, Mike?
No questions.
James? Do you have any questions?
No questions.
Hey, Jeff?
I have no questions.
Okay, we have no further questions. Thank you for your presentation. Yes, Jean?
So, Sue, I'd like if John Shevlin could please review his findings with the board on the stormwater management system, the roadway layout, pavement width, and also the traffic impact assessment. And then after that, I'd ask the applicant to go through each one of the waivers they're requesting, and then John and I will give you a recommendation on those.
Hey, John.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you, everybody. So we went ahead, we did a review of of the site and the stormwater and the traffic report, the site plan, the stormwater report, and the traffic report. We submitted a letter originally dated January 14th, and then somebody messed up. I think it might have been me. I actually didn't have the latest set of plans, so I went back through and tried to catch everything that may have been revised in the latest set, so I apologize for that. But I'll just go in order in regards to, what we reviewed, and I'll start with the traffic impact study. For the most part, everything that's in there seems to be relatively accurate. I just had a few questions in regards to the applicant. There's a few things that just need to be revised that are just wording issues. One of the things I brought up was in regards to the emergency access, just in regards to getting a conformity between the plans and what's going to be put in place, because I do feel like, depending on what the development is going in, to have another access would be emergency access would be well worth it, just with the uses. And if for some reason, if there was blockage at the main intersection, it'd be good to have emergency access down the road when the time comes. I also had just some questions in regards to some of the analysis on Figure 5, just the numbers. I just wanted to go ahead and check those numbers that he had in his plan, because it seemed like there was a little bit of a discrepancy between the counts that he had at one intersection. Between the intersections, it seemed like there's a pretty significant drop in regards to the volumes, on the order of max of 11%. So just has to go ahead and review that, just because I'm not sure what uses in there would go ahead and drop the volumes as much as they did. So I'd just like to have them review that and then come back and see whether the capacity analysis needs to be revised or not. The other item that we have is just for the site access. Just looking at the site, I know on Main Street right now, it is striped with a striped median in the middle. So just to get rid of some of the confusion in regards to just applying what needs to be done, and I believe the applicant will be going eventually to Mass DOT if they haven't already. So I'm sure that'll be brought up in regards to their review. But I think overall, the findings, depending on unless something comes up big in regards to the capacity analysis, I think they have addressed the traffic capacity and traffic safety issues within the report. So I think just with some responses and some modifications if needed, I think the traffic should be addressed properly. As far as the stormwater management report, I think the analysis that was done, the assumptions that were made, the design itself, I think was all done very well. I know, as Peter mentioned and Gene mentioned, there is looking at to go ahead and revise the basin to go ahead and try to get that out of the buffer area. So I believe Peter's going to be looking at that just to see if he can accommodate that. But I think, he picked up everything. The design goes ahead and does meet all the stormwater standards that have been established. So I had no issues with that. And I think overall the site design and the layout for the stormwater, I think is well done. I did have some other, minor modifications. I think some of these are addressed in regards to the waiver. I think the first one is in regards to the basin. As I just mentioned, that'll be revised. Just some items in there that I didn't see on the plans in regards to just identifying areas that could be stockpile areas, spoil areas, or such based on the regulations, just to identify those areas. We talked about the cul-de-sac. Again, like I said, I'm comfortable with the little over 1,000-foot cul-de-sac. As long as there is one of the other users go in some other means of access into the site. I just have some questions in regards to just as far as the water main, just getting confirmation from the water department. I think Gina mentioned that she did get comments on that. Seems to be fine. I think the plans as far as the cross slope and the sidewalks is correct. The curbing, I just had a question in regards to, I know they're proposing bituminous concrete curbing. I wasn't sure if I wasn't sure if the town had a requirement as far as the whether it should be precast concrete or not, and just ask that to be go ahead and review with the Public Works. That may, so take a look in regards to that. Had a hydrant issue just in regards to location, but to me it makes sense in regards to where they're preparing it. As far as the sidewalks, again, when I read the plans, I read the 4-foot setback that they had, the grass setback area, and I think when I read that, I wrote down that they only had a sidewalk width of 4 feet, and actually is 6 feet. So that was something on my end. So that's that. It's really just going into the waivers in regards to what's going on. But I think overall, I think the site design and the traffic is in pretty good shape. So it's a quick summary.
So maybe we should ask Jeff Bridges to check the conference call line to see if any of others have called in.
Okay, hold on.
Thank you, Jeff.
Good Good evening, this is the planning board meeting. Is there anyone that would like to speak at the public hearing? Good evening, this is the Sturbridge Planning Board meeting. Is there anyone that would like to speak at the public hearing? There's no one on the line.
Thank you. All right, so now we should go through the waivers that are requested, and I'd like the board to address the waivers this evening since they will impact the design if a waiver is not granted. So I think perhaps the best way to do this is for Pete to explain what his request is. We can then have mine and John's recommendation on the waiver, and then of course, if board members have any questions on the waiver as we go along. So, Pete, could you start with your first waiver request, please?
Sure. Our first waiver is for section 8.1.c of the reg. The plan shall show all existing individual trees of 10-inch diameter or greater within 50 feet of the proposed right-of-way. The area within 50 feet of the proposed right-of-way is a little over 4 acres. For us to locate and show every tree within that 4+ acre area would be pretty busy on the plan. We are trying to save as much vegetation as possible with our design. So that waiver would be requested to save some survey work, and that's basically it.
Mr. Shevlin and I have no concerns with this request. And I would recommend that you discuss and vote on this waiver. And we can do this one of two ways. We can go through all of the waivers, and if you don't have any concerns on any of them, we could take one vote. Or if there's a waiver that's of particular issue, we can separate that one out. So I guess, does anyone have any?
I think we should do them one at a time.
Okay. All right.
My opinion.
I agree.
Okay. So does anyone have any? Sorry, Sue, go ahead.
Does anyone have any questions or concerns about waiver section 8.1.c?
Yes, to sustain. I guess my question would be to Gene. I'm sure this isn't a unique question or waiver request in town. Is this something that we typically approve?
Yes, this has definitely been approved in the past. Sometimes there's just so much vegetation, it's extremely difficult to show all of that on the plan. What we would normally do, Jane, is prior to construction, we'll ask the applicant to flag the trees that are staying, and we'll walk the limits of clearing when we do the inspection on the erosion control.
Understood. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hearing no other questions, do I have a motion to accept section 8.1.c waiver?
Does it make sense to ask questions first and then have a motion for all of them at the end?
We did discuss that, and it was requested that we do each one. You still feel that way, Russ?
I do. I have a couple of problems with a couple of the waiver requests.
Okay. Okay. So for the first waiver, we have a motion to accept the first waiver as discussed.
So moved, Jeff.
Second, Mike.
Okay, Russ?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So the first waiver is accepted.
Okay, Peter, the second waiver?
Yep. Waiver 2, section 8.1.j, requiring an 8.5 by 11 sheet, showing the subdivision at 1 inch equals 300 scale. We provided as 11 by 17 at 400 scale, because the property is so large, it fit a little bit better.
We have no concerns with this request.
Anyone have any questions or concerns from the board? Do I hear a motion to accept the second waiver?
So moved, Russ.
Section 8.1.j. So Russ,
Yeah.
you accept the motion? Yes. Anyone second it?
I'll second. Chris?
Thank you. Okay, Russ?
Yeah.
Chris?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Dane?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So waiver section 8.1.j is accepted.
Okay,
The third waiver.
third,
Section 10.b.5.a, a center line radius of 200 feet on a major street. We have provided a center line radius of 175 feet at the middle bend here. We did this waiver to try to align the road with the top of that slope as best we could, to save upland into lot 5, as well as save as much vegetation as we could. The inside curb would have a radius of 163 feet, which would be more than adequate for any emergency vehicles or anything like that.
all right, so this waiver request has been reviewed by PAR, and Mr. Shevlin has indicated no concern with this request, so I would concur with Mr. Shevlin.
Does anyone on the board have any questions or concerns for waiver section 10? Where are we? B.
Yes,
Point
Sue, I
five,
got a
point
question. I got a question for Mr. Shevlin. I suppose there's a logic to where this 200-foot minimum came from, and I wonder at what limit do we want to consider waiving this down to, and under what conditions. In this situation, we'll be headed downhill from a number of elderly senior drivers around a radius that's going to be tighter than our regulations have suggested is appropriate. I wonder if there's a better situation where we could reduce this with a waiver if this is appropriate. Could you speak to that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, the way I looked at it was just in regards to what I would anticipate for the width of the roadway, the speeds along the roadway, in addition to some of the design that was being done and trying to go ahead and maintain the vegetation and keep upland as much as you can. So I took that all into consideration, and I looked at that in regards to would this still be a safe radius in here. And like I said, it's a short, I'll say a short cul-de-sac roadway. Well, it's a long cul-de-sac roadway, but it's a short roadway. And I think with the speeds that you would anticipate in here, and like I said, the width of the roadway kind of acts almost like a traffic calming as far as slow speed. So I found, the radius to be acceptable.
Okay, I'm glad that you spoke to the width of the roadway, because I know this isn't the appropriate waiver for that, but I thought with the tighter radius and the narrower road, rather than a calming effect of a narrower road, we would end up with some drivers potentially oversteering out of their lane with less lane to use. That was my gut. You're the expert. This has been designed by experts and peer reviewed by experts. But those were my 2 cents. Just curious if there's anybody else on the board with an opinion on this one.
That's interesting input, Dane. Thank you.
So I will say the center line radius for minor subdivisions, which would be a typical residential subdivision, is only 150 feet. So we are still greater than that typical minor street center line radius.
I think that is a very valid piece of information for this conversation. That's perfect. Thank you.
Hey, does anybody else have any questions? Thoughts or concerns?
What I have, and I'm trying to jump ahead, but if we don't approve number 4, that should change the sight lines, correct, John?
That's correct. If you don't approve it yet, that will make a difference.
I'm wondering if we should take up 4 before we vote on this one.
That's fine. We will leave
Peter.
Go on to section 10.C.1.
Sure. Major street width and pavement width is to be 60 feet and 32 feet. We are proposing a 50-foot right-of-way and a 24-foot wide pavement. The idea behind this is to basically minimize impervious area, which takes a lot of brunt off of the stormwater management system. And as well as maintain vegetation. Increasing that roadway width is probably almost another 1/4 acre of impervious material. And the clearing would probably be around the same ballpark. But the main impetus to minimize the roadway width is for the stormwater, as well as the main use of this roadway is for lot 3 being a residential development. The commercial portion of this site is going to be in the beginning of the roadway. We don't anticipate those traffic counts getting back into the cul-de-sac area, but again, our main objective is to minimize impervious area for the site.
Hey, does anyone have any questions?
I do. Gene, getting back to, I probably should have brought this up earlier, but it relates to this. When the fire department had no comment, from what I understand from the fire inspector, they were waiting for a hard copy of the plan. They couldn't read the email.
They were given a hard copy of the... Okay, they were given a hard copy of the plan right as soon as we received the comment. It was put in their mailbox across the street. So the hearing will be continued if they have comments, but since that time, I've not received anything additional.
Okay, so my concern is when I saw this request, our tower ladder has a foot spread of 14 feet. So with that said, that was my question I asked today, with a 24-foot, I don't think that's sufficient. If the tower ladder is going to be set up in the street, that leaves you only 10 feet. And obviously you're not going to be over to the edge. I mean, you'd have to have it set up perfectly. So I do have a concern with the 24-foot, especially with the commercial. And I think we can stay with the 50-foot right away. With the 32-foot roadway and the 12 feet for the sidewalks, we're still under the 50-foot right away. So my concern is the having enough room for fire apparatus on that road with just the 24-foot, with all the activity that's going to be on that road. That's my concern with that.
John, can you speak to that, please?
Yeah, I think, my only thoughts on that is just, we don't know what the development's going to be on the other lots, whether they be set up in, on this main cul-de-sac road. So I would hope that, the driveways and wherever the development is, any fire apparatus would be coming off the roadway and wouldn't be blocking that. So again, we kind of took a look at, there'll be no parking along this roadway. Any park would be off of here. For the volume that you're going to have, typically, if you look at ASHTO, you can even go narrow with some of the roads. I wouldn't recommend anything less than 24 feet in here, but, I took it and looked at it that way in regards to what we would have for, the types of trips here and the volumes and what could occur. But I was looking as far as any fire apparatus, and, I did not talk to anybody from the fire department, but I just assume that each of these lots, any access or any need for emergency access would be driven off the main road and wouldn't be along this road, parked along this road. But that's something I think it's viable in regards to getting information back from the fire department.
Okay, anyone else?
I would echo John's comments that I'm glad that Russell raised the concern about the width of the road in relation to fire equipment. But to echo John's comment, I'd be surprised given the layout of these lots if it actually set up in the space. But, they haven't been laid out yet. We don't really know that, and it's something that we should consider. But otherwise, I guess 24 sounds really narrow. It seems like a two-way drive aisle at a Walmart in a parking lot. Is there other guidance in town to make this? I mean, I like that Peter has a reference for 150 foot for a small subdivision. Is there some other similar background that we could rely on for the 24-foot width?
Yeah, so I can tell you our subdivision regulations classify a minor street as one that serves less than 9 lots, and the right-of-way is 50 feet, and the paved width is 22 feet. A collector street is one that serves between 9 and 25 lots, and the right-of-way is 50 feet, and the pavement width is 26. And then a major street serves greater than 25 lots with a 60-foot right-of-way and 32-foot paved area. So the major street is used for commercial developments, industrial parks, things of that nature. We have a little bit of a hybrid here where it's other than the potential urgent care facility and the maybe convenience store, it will be developed residentially. So our pavement widths do range between 22 and 26 is what we normally see in a residential subdivision, depending on the number of lots.
That's great info. Thank you, Jean.
You're welcome.
Does anyone else have any questions? Okay.
Whoops, dropping my papers. Peter, what would it take to, if the majority of the board wanted you to widen out the paved width, that would mean losing one of the green strips. So right now the project is set up with a roadway, a green belt, and then a sidewalk, which I think makes it really nice and feeling very safe for walkers from the senior living community. But I think to expand that width out, it would change the stormwater system, alter the roadway layout. Maybe if lot 1 goes away, I'm not sure with the wetlands there, Pete, if you could widen that. Can you talk a little bit about what options you would have if the majority of the board wanted this redesigned, and then the board can decide which way they would like to go, if that makes sense to you, Ms. Waters?
Yes, it does. Thank you, Jean.
You're welcome.
Sure. So if we were to bump the road width to 32 feet and keep 2 6-foot sidewalks, one on each side, that brings us up to 44 feet. which leaves us
Excuse me,
basically.
Pete. I would recommend, I wouldn't say the 32. I think that's, John,
Overkill.
wouldn't you agree that's kind of overkill for this small roadway? That's a lot of pavement. Maybe talk about maybe if we treated it as a collector street with the 26 feet.
Sure. So the 26 feet, I don't think it would be too bad. That would be if the board was all right with a 3-foot green strip instead of a 4-foot green strip. That would get us up to that 26. Otherwise, we would lose the green on the outside of the sidewalk, which there isn't too much. Let's see.
Can we move it back into the property rather than take away the green spot?
I think we have to widen the right of way at that point. Right, 50, potentially. It might be the back of the sidewalk might be right on the edge of the right of way if we kept the 4-foot wide grass plot. But I think it would still be doable.
I guess we need some input from the board. Is the board wanting to see a change from the 24-foot paved way to 26 and then reduce the green strip down from 4 feet to 3 feet?
My personal opinion is if we're talking about 24 to 26, we're kind of splitting hairs. That's not going to make a substantial difference for Russell's fire truck. But if, as Peter just said, the sidewalk, the back of the sidewalk is 1 foot in front of the property line, I have no issue with the back of the sidewalk being coincidental with the property line, and we could pick up 2 free feet right there. I don't know if there's any reason why we can't have the back of the sidewalk on the property line.
I agree with Jeff.
Peter?
I'm sorry, Sue, that was
Dane. It was Dane.
Was it?
All right. So can we
Dane.
start with, are we all in agreement 32 feet is just too much pavement for this short street?
Yeah, based on this conversation, it sounds like that's what I've heard.
All right. So, Peter, what can you get if you move the sidewalk back to the property line edge, keep a green strip on the other side of the sidewalk, even if it's 3 feet instead of 4, and then widen out the pavement? What would you be able to?
Well, I think we'd be able to keep the 4-foot green strip if you move the sidewalks back out a foot.
Okay.
Right, if we moved the back of the sidewalk, if we moved it as close to the property line as possible, you would be looking at, we could go as wide as 28 feet. That includes a 1-foot curb on each side and the 4-foot grass plot on each side and the 6-foot sidewalk on each side. So 26 would give us a little bit of play from touching the right of way. I'm not sure it's a big deal. Probably more of a maintenance thing. If the sidewalks have to be repaired, there's not a lot of room to work without encroaching onto private property, but it's likely not a big
Sounds
issue.
like you could comfortably do a 26-foot wide pavement inside the curb.
Yeah, I think we can handle that pretty easily.
Again, it doesn't feel like we're making a big change in the world here with 2 feet, but does anybody else want to? Russell, do you have any more thoughts on that?
I'm sticking to my guns. I drove fire trucks 37 years, and I know what that power line it takes for turning radius and maneuverability. And you got commercial development. I'm not going to vote for anything other than the 32 feet. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is Mike. If I could just add, I think I would also support increasing the width. It seemed the 24 did seem pretty narrow. I think going to something a little bit more reasonable makes a lot of sense.
Michael, does 26 feet sound better, or 28 feet? Is 32 feet too much?
32, I think, seems too much. Yeah, I mean, I think 26 to 28 seems reasonable.
Peter, do you think you can achieve 28?
I think we could. You know, the back of the sidewalk would be exactly on the edge of the right of way. Which,
That would still have the 4-foot green strip?
Uh-huh.
yep. If we were to make that green strip 3 feet instead of 4 feet, then, you know, we gain that foot back. But and again, you know,
I was
we're
wondering if
trying
we
to-
should wait and hear from the fire department before making a decision on this.
I can request additional comments, I guess. You know, the application came in on December 10th. They requested a set of plans. They were provided a set of plans. I had proposed that we continue this until the end of February. I would say if we're going to give the fire department additional time to comment, then, you know, basically we're at a standstill with this until we hear from them. So I would recommend that, even though we have a very full agenda on the 12th, I would recommend that we give the fire department time to weigh in, and that we continue this hearing to the next meeting just to vote on the waivers, and then continue the meeting until the end of the month, if that would give Peter time to make any revisions. But the waivers that we're talking about here tonight impact the whole plan. So if the right-of-way width and the pavement width are being changed, then we're impacting stormwater management, we're impacting the subdivision layout, so we impact everything.
Right.
Gene, this is Mike. Could we approve this contingent upon the fire department, like, commenting in a positive way, or is that not possible?
I mean, you could, but I guess then the issue becomes, if they don't comment in a positive way, and we've continued it all the way to the end of the month, we have 90 days to make a decision on a subdivision from the day it comes in until which is December 10th, so we need to make a decision by, I think it was March 8th. I put in the report, unless an extension of time is granted. So let me just grab my calendar. Okay. Oh, Jay, can you grab the agenda for the 12th?
Gene, if we go forward with getting further comment, can we just keep them abreast of what we discussed tonight, the different options that are available, and maybe they'll come back with option A, B, C, or D, you know what I mean? So that things aren't going on their shoulders. But to let them know that we discussed this, and, you know, these are the other options, you know, to make them aware of what we talked about.
Yeah, I can do that. I guess I'm a little frustrated because we've had the plans for quite some time. So, but yes, we can reach out again for comment.
But you did get a response from the fire department.
I did, saying that they wanted a set of plans, and we delivered a set of plans to their mailbox.
And you never heard anything else?
No.
No follow-up?
We have not. So I can give them a call tomorrow, let them know what the options are. I mean, I think that, you know, I know Russell's saying he's sticking to his guns on the 32, but 28 feet is not much less than the 32 feet. And I mean, it really, for all practical purposes, is quite a small subdivision. And, you know, I respect his opinion. He's been a firefighter for years, absolutely. But I'm just, you know,
Gene, as you said, there are other subdivision road standards that other smaller roads are served by lesser width streets, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that makes me more comfortable with this conversation as well. And so I don't want to put words in your mouth, Sue, if you're running this meeting, but I don't have any other questions about this. I'd be very happy, I think, with the 28 feet with the 4-foot green strips with the back of the sidewalk coincidental with the property line. I don't see any issues with that.
Okay.
I agree with Dan's comment.
Thanks for clarifying, Jean.
Can I just put something out there?
Yes.
So, you know, so the calculations Dane just gave come out to 28 feet with keeping the 4-foot green strip. I mean, we could reach out to the fire department. I mean, if you eliminated 1 foot of the green strip on either side, that brings you all the way to 30, which I really still think is an awful lot of pavement for this small subdivision. But, I mean, we could reach out to them and see what their comments are or try to set up a meeting with them to go over this. I think your only other...
I don't know if that's necessary, Jean, because like you said, in answering Dane's question, that we have other subdivisions with this diameter, correct? With these dimensions.
Yes, we do.
And they haven't caused a problem with the fire department?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't want to speak to the fire department.
No, but there's a reason we have these dimensions in our bylaws. So I think we should just go forward. If there's a problem, it can be.
And if I could just add, the majority of this roadway is within conservation jurisdiction. Not that that's the board's purview, but increasing pavement is going to not make them the happiest bunch. But safety is a concern. So.
Mm-hmm. And that was part of the reason when we started reviewing this subdivision, we were trying to balance all of the interests, like how many lots were there actually, the idea that when the 55 and over gets built, there will be an emergency access through the town of Southbridge, and that really you had potentially 3 commercial lots that will be served by the main body of this cul-de-sac. And lot 1 appears that it may be going away, especially now because the basin will have to be elongated. So we did try to balance all of that when we reviewed it. You know, sorry I didn't get more feedback from the fire department. I had lengthy conversations with the chief of police over this. Granted, he's not driving a fire truck, but we really did try to solicit comment on this.
Okay, I think you've done what needed to be done. Any other questions? Okay, do I hear a motion to accept one of the number 4 waiver request?
Sue, you broke up there.
Can you clarify as to what footage?
The motion. I'm waiting to hear the motion for number 4, section 10.c.1, 20 to be 20 to change this from 24 to 28 feet as far as the width of the road goes, and that's change.
So these laptop microphones are super good if your face is right in front of them, but if you're like 3 inches to the side, we can't hear most of what you're saying.
Okay, just for waiver, section 10.c.1, to change the width of the road to 28 feet wide and keeping the rest as stated. Do I have a motion to move? Okay, thank you.
I'll second.
Second, Mike.
Mike? Okay, Russ?
Nope.
Chris?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Okay.
Can you go back to the waiver request number 3 now?
Yes. Waiver request number 3, section 10.B.5.A, as discussed, as read. Do I hear a motion?
So moved, Jeff.
Can we just change that waiver to 175 plus or minus now that so would I held to that 175 or does that matter?
No, I was going to say the same thing, Russell. I would hope that Peter would be able to improve that by like 1 foot.
Peter?
I mean, a single foot on that centerline radius is
Peter, I'm mostly joking about the single foot. I'm just wondering if it's possible to slightly improve the 175 now that we have a wider roadway width.
we can,
Plus or minus?
you know, it's the roadway width and that radius aren't as hand in hand as you may think, but we can certainly look at widening that radius. The right of way will have to change in that area.
Can we just say 175 plus or minus?
Yeah. Don Shevlin, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I think if Peter could just take a look at it, see what he could do as far as widening that. I think once he sits down and he lays this out, he'll have a better idea. I think it's tough looking at it right now, saying exactly what he could get for radius.
Agreed. I would recommend that maybe the motion says 175 plus.
Plus.
Was that your motion, Dane?
I'll second that. I'll
Yeah,
second
make
that motion.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Russ?
I'll second that motion, and yes.
Okay. Chris?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Dane?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So number 3, section 10.B.S.5.A is accepted
Okay.
by the board.
Number
Now
5.
number 5.
Peter?
Number 5, yep, section 10.E.2, dead end street length no greater than 500 feet. Again, this roadway would be roughly 1,030 feet in order to access that rural residential zone, which frontage would be needed there in order to develop lot 3 and 4 into potentially the 55 plus and the assisted living.
We have reviewed this request, and we have no concerns with the request. We are recommending that this waiver be granted subject to the condition that emergency access be provided as part of phase 1 of the development of the 55 plus on lot 3. And that wouldn't need to be paved all the way out to Southbridge, but the road roughed in with a hard packed surface that's suitable for emergency vehicles. That would be reviewed by the police chief and the fire chief.
Okay. Any questions?
So this waiver approval would be contingent on them getting health approval. Is there any question that Southbridge is not going to happen? Is Southbridge on board with this?
Yep, Southbridge is on board with this. They've already had a meeting with the town of Southbridge. In fact, Southbridge waived the application of their subdivision control laws to this because it will only be for emergency access.
Great. Yeah. So the reason why we have this dead end length requirement in the first place, I assume, is safety. They don't want to go in to a dead end place that they can't get back out of, Gene? Yes,
and this waiver request is fairly consistent with other cul-de-sacs that we have in town. I think the most recent example is off of Cedar Street, Laurel Woods Subdivision. is a little over 1,200 feet. So pretty consistent. The 500-foot dead end limitation was put in 1963. It really hasn't been, or excuse me, 65, and hasn't been changed since that time. And going back through the subdivisions, most notably Hillside Drive, that we approved the acceptance of the cul-de-sac at the end, that's well over almost 2,000 feet, I believe, the length of Hillside. So it's something that has been waived in the past and hasn't posed any issues that I'm aware of, provided there is a cul-de-sac, a place for, emergency vehicles to turn around, and school buses.
Very good additional info. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions? Okay, we'll take a vote.
I'll make a motion that we approve waiver number 5, section 10.E.2.
Second, Mike.
Okay, Russ?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Mike?
Yeah.
Dane?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Waiver number 6.
Section 11.B.2.A.
This is for the minimum cover over drainage piping. Subdivision regs call for 36 inches. The 2 catch basins closest to Main Street, which I can show you down in this vicinity here. The elevation of the roadway in that area compared to the basin, or in comparison to the wetlands, really require us to try to bring that pipe up as high as possible in order to have suitable pitch on those pipes in order to drain the stormwater from the roadway out to the wetlands, rather than that water just free flowing into Main Street. Those pipes typically can handle as little as 12 inches of cover, so we feel 24 inches would be suitable.
We have no concerns with this request. If you have any questions, John, I'll turn this one to you. This is more your area.
Yeah, as Pete has mentioned, what they're trying to do is keep as much runoff out of the state roadway as possible. So they're trying to do catchment, and just with the grades of the site going up, he's trying to go ahead and get the pitch in order to go ahead and make this work as far as the outfall. So when you go from the catch basin to the outfall, they do have minimum pitch. I think there is enough cover on the pipes in order for them to go ahead and still be able to put it in properly. So.
Okay, any questions?
John, you're comfortable with the type of pipe they're using? We're okay with that cover?
Yes. Yep.
Thank you.
They look at the industry standards, and the amount of cover is fine. So.
Thank you.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to accept waiver number 6, section 11.B.2.A?
So moved, Russell.
Second, Chris.
Okay. Russ? Russ? We'll take a vote now. Russ? Okay, let's go to Chris.
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Jeff? Jeff?
Hello?
You're taking a vote to accept that waiver?
Oh, this is so moved. Jeff?
Russ?
Are we still on the same one? I lost the volume.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah. And I say yes. So we're going to accept number 6.
Okay. Request number 7.
Section 12.A.2.A, water main shall not be less than 8 inches. The existing water main in Main Street in this area is only 6 inches. It does not make much sense to put an 8-inch main off of that main when it's only 6 inches. The 6-inch main on this road would be plenty for the demands that are needed.
We have no concerns with this request, and again, I'll defer to John if you have any questions.
Yeah, I'll just, repeat what Pete just said. And, yeah, you got a 6-inch pipe out there, 6 inches, that can make a difference to upgrade it. And as long as the water department was fine with it, we have no concerns with it.
John, I have a question for you. Why would we have requests for 8-inch diameter and have only 6-inch diameter provided within the system?
Yeah,
Can you answer that? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's typical in regards to the water main sizes in other parts of town.
I think the 8 inches is a minimum now, right?
Yeah, that's what it reads.
Yeah.
And that's my thought. Why does it read that way if we're going to give it a waiver to 6? Even though I understand the 6-inch diameter on Main Street, I'm just curious what the difference is. I want to learn something.
So as they upgrade the water lines on Main Street, they don't put in 6-inch. They go 12 or 18-inch. So that 6-inch water main down there on Main Street was probably, I want to say it was probably put in the 1930s.
Oh.
6-inch was a lot of water back then, but today it's not.
Okay. But it's sufficient for this project.
Yes, they've already done
I have a question.
Okay.
I have a question for Peter. If you're going to sprinkle any of those buildings, not only the size of the water main counts, but the volume that's in that water main. You're okay with that? Since you have some commercial lots that they have to be sprinkled?
Yeah, we did some hydrant flow testing basically directly across the street from the proposed intersection. And those hydrant flow test results so that we should have ample pressure and volume throughout this whole road. The only lot in question with that would be lot 3, because it does, it dips down off the road, but then as that road goes further towards the back, which I can show you, the elevation increases quite substantially. So if lot 3 needed to put a sprinkler or a hydrant, which is more likely for this development, they will likely need a privately owned water booster station at their lot.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Do I hear a motion?
So moved, Jeff.
Okay. Section 12.A.2.A. Do I hear a second?
Second, Russell.
Thank you. Okay, Russ?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Dane?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
And I say yes. Okay, we move on to number 8, section 13.A.1.
Commercial subdivisions require sidewalks on both sides of the road. The original submittal, before we revised the basin to put it on its own lot, had substantially less sidewalk, but this plan that you're seeing does have more, so the only section that doesn't have a sidewalk on both sides is right in front of that detention basin in this area. That's roughly 250 feet. So the rest of the subdivision would have sidewalks on both sides.
We have no concerns with this request. Mr. Shovelin and I met out on the site on Monday, and looked at the property. There is no sidewalk on that section of Main Street, and so the sidewalk would just kind of dead end onto the roadway. I also talked at length with Chief Dessert, and he has no concerns with the waiver request.
Any questions? Do I hear a motion?
Peter, do we have
Okay.
one question? Do we have a crosswalk where that other one ends so it gets over to the other side?
We do, yeah. We have a
Oh, yeah, all right.
there, and then there's another one towards the back of the road.
Thank you.
Also, if I could just add to Russell, when we were out at the site on Monday, we talked about the possibility that Mass DOT may require a crosswalk to get from there across 131. We're not sure. Once they get more feedback from Mass DOT, they'll need to incorporate whatever they recommend.
Thank you, Jean.
You're welcome.
Okay, do I hear a motion for number 8, section 13.A.1, waiver request?
So moved.
So moved. Second, Russell.
Okay, Russ?
Yeah.
Chris?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
And I say yes.
Okay. So now at this point, I would recommend that the public hearing, if no one has any additional questions, I'm sorry, I would recommend that the public hearing be continued till Tuesday, February 23rd at 6:35 p.m. And hopefully at that time, revisions will be made and we'll get further feedback from the Conservation Commission. And hopefully give John Shevlin a chance to review the revised plans that have been submitted so that we can come back with a recommendation at that meeting.
Okay, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Nope, continue the public hearing.
Or continue the public hearing until February 23rd?
February 23rd at 6:35 p.m.
6:35? How's that sound? You on it, Russ? We're not closing anything. We're continuing it.
I'll move, Russell.
Okay, thank
Continue
you,
the
Russ.
public hearing.
Okay. Okay, does anyone want to second that?
Seconded, Jack.
Okay, Russ?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
And I say yes. Okay.
All right. Thank you, John Shevlin.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you, John.
Thank
Have
you,
a good night.
John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Peter. And Jean.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Good night. Okay.
Jean, do you have any updates?
Yes, so just the next meeting dates, February 9th, we have public hearings for the new parking lot at 420 Main Street. That was the area that was rezoned for the Table 3 restaurant group. And also the public hearings for the zoning amendments to the Village Gateway District and the accessory dwelling unit bylaw that the board voted to serve as petitioner for. And then on February 23rd, we will have the public hearing continuation for the subdivision, and then we will actually have the public hearing on the cold storage facility that's proposed for 90 Charlton Road.
On the 23rd?
On the 23rd. And
Okay,
Janae,
thank
we
you.
need to change that legal notice. Okay. We just realized we double booked ourselves. We'll change the legal notice for 90. At least it hasn't run in the paper yet. So, and we are in the process of getting close for peer review for stormwater and traffic for that as well. And that's all we have.
Okay. All right. Do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Hold the new business.
Oh, the new business. Old business? Go ahead, Russ. You got anything? Old or new?
I just want to comment on the studio apartment building next to the dentist, how nice it's looking. He's doing a great job with his eyesore. I know he's not done yet, but I mean, it's just I've been hearing from a lot of people, a lot of compliments. That's all I have.
Anybody else have old or new business? Chris?
Nope, nothing from me.
Mike?
None.
James?
No, I just want to say you did a great job chairing today.
All right. Thanks, Jay. Jeff?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay. Now do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mike. So moved, Jeff.
Okay, thanks. All right, Mike and Jeff. Okay, Russ?
Yes.
Adjourn? Chris?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
And I say yes. Okay. Take care,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Have a good couple weeks. Thank you,
Thank you.
James.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Hey,
Jeff
everybody.
Bridges, for running our meeting over there.
Thank you.
Good job.
Yeah.
Thank you.